This year, 2013 at Unity Church of Overland Park, our theme is Living the Empowered Life. And I kind of think we're doing that right now. Yeah. So the theme for the year is Living the Empowered Life. And every month we have a particular quality that we want to explore that is all about helping us to live that empowered life. And so this month, August, the theme is service. It's about living our lives in service to the world. It's about knowing that who we are, who you are, just as you are, right where you are, is about being in service to the world. And so today our theme is making a difference, how it is that as we serve the world, we make a difference on this planet. And to get us started, I want to share with you a particular poem. It was written by Roy Lesson, and it's called The Servant's Reward. One day, when you are in heaven, someone will come up to you and thank you for the way you touched their life with hope and encouragement. The person's words will take you by surprise. And then soon, another person will seek you out, and then another, and another. And as you listen to each one's story, you will begin to discover all the ways that God used your life when you were completely unaware of it. You will find that it was not only through the big things that you did, but also through the small things. Through a spoken word that was not planned, a spontaneous act of kindness, a loving attitude, or a simple prayer of concern. And to your joy, you will discover that God used you to deposit eternal measure of his love into many needy hearts. With the very next breath that you take, you are blessing the world. Making a difference, changing the world. You don't have to look very far to see difference makers, do you? Over the last month or so, I've heard two different interviews with Bill Gates. You may know Bill Gates, of course, as the former CEO of Microsoft, and indeed he changed the world through his work in technology. And maybe you know, or maybe you don't know, that he and his wife Melinda have a foundation, the Melinda Gates Foundation, which he has funded with over $36 billion to do great good in the world. And their goals are twofold. Globally, they are working to improve health care and extreme poverty. And then locally in the United States, they're looking to build educational opportunities in information technology. Now, in his healthcare global goals, he is attacking some major goals. He's partnered, for instance, with Rotary International in declaring an absolute end to polio by the year 2018. And already it's down to only 3 countries, and they want to eliminate every single case. And he says, yes, that's a tall order, of course, but if you think about all the money that's right now going to prevent polio, all the vaccinations and such, if you can just get it to where there is no polio, then all of that prevention money can go towards some other health initiative. And I was watching this interview on 60 Minutes, maybe you saw it, that of course he is such an innovative individual that his foundation would be innovative. They're not just pouring money out there, but they're actually inventing means to make the vaccinations possible. So they've invented this container that can hold the vaccinations and keep them cold, refrigerated, for up to 2 months. Because what you got to realize, in many of the parts of the world where they need vaccinations, they have no electricity, let alone refrigeration. So they've invented this container that can hold the vaccinations and keep them cold with no electrical power for 2 months. That's just one of the examples of the things that they're doing. And he said he knows that the complete elimination of this disease and others that he's working to make a difference on is a tall order. He said, but really the thing is that you get to save the first child, the second child, the third child. You can just feel good about that. One at a time, making a difference. Now, Bill Gates is today the richest person in the world. with assets, it appears to be $72 billion or so. And when he began to set up his foundation, he and his wife checked out the Andrew Carnegie Foundation. Andrew Carnegie, you'll remember, was the great steel magnate of the late 1800s. He, too, was the richest man in the world at one point. And while his business practices were sometimes questioned as far as how he treated people individually, later in life, he went on to deal with his passion, which was helping people learn. So he established thousands of libraries around the world so that people could have free access to reading materials, which was a new thing at that point. Making a difference, these people were. And you may say, but you know, Patricia, I don't have millions of dollars to make a difference. No, maybe you don't. But there's so many ways to make a difference in the world. I think about one of the board members that we have here at Unity Church of Overland Park. Maybe you know Deb Matine. Deb has the most uncanny way of letting you know how important you are, of being able to acknowledge you. And what she does for our board is that she is personally committed to hand-making birthday cards for every board member and every staff member. That's over 30 cards a year that she personally hand makes to make sure that people know how special they are on their birthday. One more way of making a difference. And then maybe you've heard of Amma the hugging saint. You know, Amma, the most amazing individual, grew up in a small town in India. And she had this compassionate heart from the time she was little. She would go out be sent out into the neighborhood to get scraps to feed her family's animals. But then while she was out getting scraps, she would notice that some of the families themselves were poor and needy. So she would take things from her home to give to them so that she could get the scraps for the animals. And over time, she learned that she had this great compassionate heart, and she began to embrace people. Do you know that sometimes as many as 50,000 people a day come to see her just to receive her hug? Just to receive her hug. It's what she has to give. So when we start to think about making a difference in the world, what you want to do is ask yourself, what do I have to give? You may or may not be able to start a foundation, but you've got something that you can give. I think about one of our church members, Mike McCord, and everybody knows what Mike stands for. He's an active part and a leader in our green team here. Everybody knows that what Mike cares about and what Mike loves is our earth and the sustainability of this planet. He makes a difference with that every day in how he lives and how he speaks about it. And the one thing that all of these people have in common, whether it's Bill Gates or Andrew Carnegie or Deb Matine or Amma the Hugging Saint or Mike McCord, the one thing they all have in common is that they have a passion. They have a passion about something, whether it's libraries or health or poverty. They have a passion about something. What is your passion? Where do you want to make a difference? You know, when you open the newspaper in the morning or you open your browser on your computer and you see the news articles, what are the stories that make you cry? What are the stories that you read about or hear about that really touch your heart deeply and make you sad? That might be a place that you begin to find your passion, to get clear on where you want to make a difference. If it hurts you that there's something particular going on in the world, then follow that thread, because maybe it's yours to make a difference there. Another way to look at it is the inverse of that. So imagine that you go to bed tonight, and when you wake up in the morning, utopia is present. Your highest vision for the world is there. Your greatest dream for the world has been manifested. You get up, you look out at the world, you open your newspaper, and you see that there's world peace, and you see that everyone has enough to eat, and you see whatever it is that's important to you. The idea of a perfect world, what would the idea of a perfect world entail? Just shout it out for me. What would the idea of a perfect world entail? Peace, equality, love, Happy kids. No hunger. Understanding. Compassion. No murder. Peace. Freedom. Appreciation. Healthy relationships. Somebody said healthy water. Avocados. I like mine peeled and mashed along with some tomatoes and some cilantro, yes, and some tortilla chips. Enough avocados for everyone. I'm really serious about this question. Imagine you go to bed tonight, you wake up tomorrow morning, and the world matches your highest dream. And then follow that thread. Which aspect of your highest dream makes your heart sizzle the most? Maybe that's where you're to make a difference. And you see, it doesn't have to cost money for you to make a difference. You just have to be willing to follow your passion. Maybe you have heard the story, happened a couple of thousand years ago, of the man who walked down the street and noticed that on the other side of the street there was a man who'd been beaten and robbed. In fact, two other people passed by the guy that had been beaten and robbed, a priest, another clergy. They just passed right by. But this particular man saw the wounded brother on the side of the road, picked him up, took him to an inn, spent his own money, gave it to the innkeeper and said, I have business to attend to, I have to go, but I'm leaving this money with you. Please tend to him, and I will be back. What makes the story even richer, as it's told in the book of Luke, is that the man on the side of the road was a Jew. The man who helped him was a Samaritan. Jews and Samaritans didn't like one another very much. But he saw someone in compassion moved in his heart to make a difference. You see, the other part, in addition of having passion, the other aspect of making a difference and changing the world is that you deal with what's in front of you in the moment. Who's in front of you in the moment? The opportunity that's presented to you. And when you are present to the moment, that's where you make the difference. So I'd like to close with some very inspirational words once spoken by Jimmy Carter. He said, I have one life and one chance to make it count for something. I'm free to choose whatever that something is. And the something I've chosen is my faith. Now, my faith goes beyond theology and religion and requires considerable work and effort. My faith demands, and he says, this is not optional. My faith demands that I do whatever I can, wherever I am, whenever I can, for as long as I can, with whatever I have to try to make a difference.